I should have known something was wrong when I had to leave a voicemail. Travis always answered my calls, or at least he used to. This time it rang 4 times before clicking to that generic recording. "Hey honey, it's Mum," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "I wanted to let you know about something special happening next Friday. The district is honouring me at the Regional Education Gala, Teacher of the Year. I know it's short notice, but I'd really love if you could come. It's at the Riverside Convention Centre at 7 o'clock. Let me know, okay? Love you." I set the phone down on my kitchen counter, the same Formica counter I'd had for 20 years, and stared at the invitation they'd mailed me. Heavy cardstock, gold embossing, my name printed right there, Barbara Mitchell, Elementary Educator of Excellence, 37 years. 37 years of arriving before sunrise to prepare lessons, staying late for parent conferences, spending my own money on classroom supplies when the budget ran dry. And now this recognition I'd never expected, never even thought to want. Travis called back 2 hours later, right as I was grading a stack of 3rd grade book reports at my dining room table. "Hey Mum," he said, and I could hear traffic in the background. He was in his car, probably heading home from his accounting firm. "Did you get my message?" I asked, setting down my red pen. "Yeah, about that thing on Friday." He paused, and in that pause I felt my stomach tighten. "I don't really care about those things, Mum. You know how I am with formal events. All that standing around making small talk, it's not my scene." I blinked, my hand still resting on a student's essay about Charlotte's Web. "Travis, it's not just any formal event. I know, it's an award. That's great, really, but I've got a lot going on right now. Work's been crazy, and Melissa's been on me about spending more time at home on weekends. I think I'm going to sit this one out." The way he said it, sit this one out, like it was an optional baseball game, not his mother's career milestone. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay even. "I understand you're busy." "Thanks, Mum. I knew you'd get it." "Congrats on the award, though. That's cool." "Cool." Like I'd won a door prize at a raffle. After we hung up, I sat there for a long moment, staring at the pile of papers in front of me. Little Heather's handwriting, looping and careful. Charlotte was a good friend because she helped Wilbur even when it was hard. I picked up my pen and wrote in the margin, "Beautiful insight, Heather. True friendship means showing up." The next day I called Courtney. My daughter was 34, worked in marketing for a tech startup in the city, always busy, always connected to her phone like it was an oxygen tank. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice distracted. "Hey Mum, what's up?" "Hi sweetheart, I wanted to invite you to something important next Friday evening." "Hold on." I heard her typing, rapid clicks on a keyboard. "Okay, go ahead." I explained about the gala, about the award, about how much it would mean to have her there. As I spoke, I could hear her scrolling through something, that soft swishing sound of a finger on a screen. "Mum, that's the same night as Dana's birthday thing," she said, barely pausing. "I already RSVP'd. Can't you just handle it yourself? I mean, you don't really need us there, right? It's your award. Handle it yourself." Like I was asking her to pick up my dry cleaning. But she was already moving on, talking about a campaign deadline, a client meeting, something that required her immediate attention. Within 2 minutes she'd said goodbye and hung up, and I was standing in my kitchen holding a silent phone, feeling like I'd just been erased. I told myself it was fine. I told myself they were adults with their own lives, their own obligations. I'd raised them to be independent, hadn't I? To prioritise their careers, their relationships, their futures. This was what success looked like. 2 children who didn't need their mother anymore. But late that night, lying in bed, in the house that had always felt too big since my husband Robert died 6 years ago, I let myself cry. Just for a few minutes, just enough to release the pressure building in my chest. Then I wiped my eyes, turned off the lamp, and decided I'd go to the gala alone with my head held high. The week leading up to Friday crawled by. My students, bless them, were more excited about my award than my own children. On Wednesday, my third graders surprised me with a banner they'd made during art class. "Congratulations, Mrs. Mitchell, we love you." They decorated it with handprints and drawings of books and apples. 9-year-old Marcus, who struggled with reading and had made so much progress this year, presented it to me with a gap-toothed grin. "You're the best teacher ever, Mrs. Mitchell," he said, and I had to excuse myself to the hallway for a moment because the tears came too fast to hide. Friday arrived cool and clear, one of those perfect October evenings in North Carolina when the air smells like wood smoke and falling leaves. I showered, did my makeup carefully, not too much, just enough to look polished, and put on the navy dress I'd bought on sale at Belk 3 months ago, saving it for a special occasion. I'd never imagined the special occasion would be one I attended alone. The Riverside Convention Centre was downtown, a renovated historic building with chandeliers and marble floors. I pulled into the parking garage at 6:30, giving myself plenty of time. As I walked toward the entrance, I watched other honorees arrive with their families. Dr. Patricia Holland from the high school had her husband, 3 adult children, and what looked like 5 grandchildren. Mr. Kenneth Foster, the middle school principal being recognised for his anti-bullying programme, arrived with his wife and teenage twins. They were laughing about something, the 4 of them, a unit. I signed in at the registration table, accepted my name tag and found my assigned table number 12 near the front. 3 place settings. I sat in one chair, draped my purse over another and left the third empty. A centrepiece of autumn flowers, orange roses, yellow mums, blocked part of my view of the stage, and I was grateful for the partial privacy. "Is anyone sitting here?" A woman about my age, wearing a burgundy pantsuit, gestured to the empty chairs. "I'm saving them," I said automatically, then felt ashamed of the lie. But I couldn't bear to explain, not to a stranger. She smiled and moved on. The room filled with voices, laughter, the clink of silverware on china as servers brought out salads. I picked at mine, watching families settle into their tables, watching children lean over to whisper to their parents, watching husbands rest their hands on their wives' shoulders. I thought about Robert, how he would have been here, how he would have worn his good suit and told everyone at the table embarrassing stories about me, how he would have held my hand under the tablecloth when they called my name. At 7:15, the superintendent, Dr. Angela Torres, took the podium. The room quieted. She spoke about the importance of educators, about the ripple effects of good teaching, about how a single teacher can change the trajectory of a child's life. Then she began introducing the honorees one by one. When she said my name, I stood on legs that felt uncertain. The applause was genuine, warm. I walked to the stage, climbed the 4 steps and accepted the crystal plaque from Dr. Torres. It was heavier than I expected, engraved with my name and the words, "In recognition of 37 years of dedicated service and transformative impact on the lives of countless students." Dr. Torres spoke into the microphone, her voice carrying across the room. "Barbara Mitchell has taught 3rd grade at Oakwood Elementary for nearly 4 decades. She's developed an innovative literacy program that's been adopted across the district, mentored dozens of new teachers, and consistently goes above and beyond for her students. Parents request her specifically. Children remember her years after they've left her classroom. Barbara, you represent the very best of what it means to be an educator." The room erupted in applause again. Someone whistled. I stood there under the bright lights, holding the plaque, smiling, feeling the weight of all those eyes on me, and feeling simultaneously the absence of the 2 pairs of eyes that should have been there. I said a brief thank you, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands, and returned to my table, alone. I set the plaque carefully on the white tablecloth and tried to focus on the next honoree, but my mind kept drifting to Travis and Courtney. Were they thinking of me at all tonight? Had they even remembered? What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that at that exact moment across town in someone's suburban backyard, my children were at a party. I would later learn was just a casual Friday night gathering. Nothing special, nothing that couldn't have been missed. Courtney was standing near a fire pit, holding a glass of white wine, laughing at something her friend Dana had just said. Travis was there too, with his wife Melissa, having decided to come out after all, despite his earlier complaints about being tired. The party was fine, good, even. Music playing from a Bluetooth speaker, string lights overhead, people Courtney's age talking about work and mortgages and vacation plans. Courtney pulled out her phone to take a photo of the fire pit, the flames reflected in her wine glass, a picture she thought would look good with the right filter. She opened Instagram, prepared to post to her story, and that's when everything changed. The Explore page loaded, and there, right at the top of the trending local content, was a professional photo of me. I was on stage holding the crystal plaque, smiling in my navy dress under those bright lights. The photo was tagged by the local news station that had covered the event. The caption read, "Barbara Mitchell named Regional Teacher of the Year after 37 years of service, a true education hero in our community. #teacher appreciation, #local heroes, #education. Courtney's scream cut through the party noise. Why is Mum on here? Travis appeared at her shoulder within seconds. What? What are you talking about? She turned her phone to show him, her hand shaking. He stared at the screen, his face going pale in the firelight. Oh my God, he whispered. They stood frozen, the party continuing around them while they processed what they were seeing. Their mother, the woman they'd both dismissed so casually, so thoughtlessly, was being honoured publicly, significantly, and they'd chosen not to be there. Melissa looked at the phone, then at Travis, then at Courtney. Wait, wasn't that tonight? Didn't she invite you guys? The question hung in the air like an accusation. Courtney's stomach turned. She clicked on the photo, then on the news station's tag, and found a whole gallery. Me accepting the award, me shaking hands with the superintendent, me standing in front of a banner with all the honorees. In every photo, I was alone, no family beside me, no one to share the moment. We have to go, Travis said suddenly, already pulling his keys from his pocket. We have to go right now. But even as they rushed to his car, leaving confused friends behind, they both knew the same terrible truth. They were too late. The ceremony would be over. The moment, my moment, had already passed. And they hadn't been there. They'd chosen not to be there. I drove home that night at 9:30. The plaque sitting carefully in the passenger seat, still wrapped in tissue paper. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. I carried the plaque inside, set it on the kitchen counter under the overhead light, and stood there looking at it for a long time. It was beautiful, it was meaningful, it represented everything I'd worked for, everything I'd given. I woke up Saturday morning to 17 missed calls. My phone was still on the kitchen counter where I'd left it the night before, plugged in beside the plaque that now seemed to glow differently in the morning light. I'd slept poorly, the kind of restless half-sleep where you're aware of every hour passing, and when I finally gave up at 6:30 and came downstairs in my robe, the sight of that screen full of notifications made my heart skip. 12 calls from Courtney, 5 from Travis, text messages filling the screen faster than I could read them. Mum, please call me. Mum, where are you, Mum? I'm so sorry. Please pick up. We messed up so bad. I stood there holding the phone, my reading glasses still upstairs, squinting at the words. The most recent message was from 20 minutes ago. I'm coming over. We need to talk. Before I could respond, I heard a car in my driveway, then another. Through the kitchen window, I watched both my children get out of their vehicles, Courtney from her white SUV, Travis from his sedan, and meet in the driveway like they'd coordinated this. They hadn't. I could tell by the way they looked at each other, surprised, ashamed. I didn't go to the door. I stayed in the kitchen, tightening the belt on my robe, waiting. I heard Courtney's key in the lock. I'd given both kids keys years ago for emergencies, and then they were in my house, rushing toward the kitchen, their faces pale and desperate. Mum, Courtney said, and her eyes were red. She'd been crying. My daughter, who prided herself on her professional composure, who never let anyone see her sweat, had been crying. Travis stood behind her, and he looked worse. "Mum, we saw, we didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask," I said quietly, and the words came out harder than I'd intended. Courtney flinched. "I saw your picture on Instagram. You were all over the local news. Teacher of the Year. Mum, why didn't you tell us how big this was?" I felt something snap inside me, something that had been bending for too long. "I did tell you, I called you both, I invited you both. You said you didn't care about those things, Travis." "You told me to handle it myself, Courtney." The silence that followed was devastating. Travis opened his mouth, closed it. Courtney's hands were shaking. "You're right," Travis finally said, his voice breaking. "You're absolutely right. There's no excuse. I don't know what I thought. That it was just another school thing, another event that wouldn't matter. It mattered to me," I said, and my own voice cracked now. It mattered to me that after 37 years, someone recognized what I've given. And it mattered to me that my own children couldn't be bothered to show up." Courtney sat down hard in one of my kitchen chairs, her face in her hands. "I was at a birthday party. A stupid birthday party for someone I barely even like, and you were..." She looked up at me, tears streaming now. "You were being honoured and you were alone. Everyone saw those pictures, Mum. Everyone could see you were alone." That's what had broken through to them, I realised. Not the award itself, not the significance of the recognition, but the public visibility of my solitude, the fact that strangers could see their absence. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. "What do you want me to say?" I asked, leaning against the counter beside the plaque. "That it's okay? That I understand?" "No," Travis said firmly. "We don't want you to say it's okay. It's not okay." What we did was he struggled for the word unforgivable. "I've forgiven bigger things," I said softly, and I thought about all the times I'd forgiven them as children, the broken vases, the lied about report cards, the borrowed car returned with an empty gas tank. But this felt different. This wasn't childish thoughtlessness. This was adult selfishness. Courtney stood up, walked over to the counter and picked up the plaque carefully, like it was made of something more fragile than crystal. She read the engraving out loud. "In recognition of 37 years of dedicated service and transformative impact on the lives of countless students." She set it down, her hands trembling. "You've impacted countless students, but we couldn't even impact our schedules enough to be there for you. I raised you both to be independent," I said, and I was trying to be fair, trying to give them an out, "to have your own lives. You raised us to be better than this," Travis said, and there was anger in his voice, but it was directed at himself. "You raised us to show up for people, to value what matters, to honour commitment and sacrifice, and we failed. We failed you, and we failed everything you taught us." I felt the tears coming then, the ones I'd held back all night, all morning. "Do you know what hurt the most?" I asked, and my voice was barely a whisper. "It wasn't sitting alone at that table. It wasn't accepting that award without you there. It was realising that I've spent 37 years showing up for other people's children, reading to them, encouraging them, celebrating their achievements, and my own children couldn't show up for me. Not even for one night." The words hung in the air like something sharp and irretrievable. Courtney was sobbing now, full body shaking sobs that reminded me of when she was small and had nightmares. Travis had tears running down his face silently, his jaw clenched tight. And I stood there, still in my bathrobe, still exhausted, still hurt, but also still their mother. "I'm sorry," Courtney whispered. "Mum, I'm so sorry." "Me too," Travis added. "I would do anything to go back and change it." I wiped my eyes with the sleeve of my robe. "You can't go back. None of us can. But I need you both to understand something." I paused, gathering my thoughts. "I didn't need you there because I can't celebrate alone. I needed you there because I wanted to share that moment with the people I love most. I wanted you to see what I've built, what my life's work has meant. I wanted to feel like my voice broke again, like I mattered to you as much as you mattered to me. You do, Travis said desperately. Mum, you do. Then show me, I said simply. Not today, trying to fix this mess, but going forward. Show me that I'm not just someone you call when you need something. Show me that my life, my achievements, my feelings, that they register with you as real and important. Courtney nodded, still crying. We will, I promise we will. I wanted to believe them. Part of me did, but another part, the part that had sat alone at table 12, that had driven home with only a crystal plaque for company, wasn't sure if promises made in shame were the same as promises made in love. I need some time, I said, and I saw the fear flash across both their faces. Not forever, just some time to process this, to figure out how I feel. Okay, Travis said, though his voice sounded hollow. Whatever you need. They left 20 minutes later, both hugging me tightly at the door, both whispering more apologies. I watched them drive away, then went back inside and sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring at the plaque. The weekend passed slowly. I didn't answer their calls, but I read their messages, long, heartfelt paragraphs about their regret, their shame, their love. Courtney sent me the Instagram post that had started it all, along with dozens of comments from community members, praising me, congratulating me, saying things like, "Your family must be so proud." On Monday, I returned to Oakwood Elementary. My students greeted me with excitement, asking about the award, wanting to know everything. I told them about the ceremony, about the speech, about the beautiful plaque. Little Marcus asked, "Did your kids come?" I paused, then smiled. They couldn't make it, but they were very proud of me. It was a small lie, the kind teachers tell to protect children from complicated adult truths. That afternoon, during my lunch break, I found an envelope in my mailbox in the teacher's lounge. Inside was a card, handmade with photos printed out and glued carefully to cardstock. Photos from my life, me with Travis and Courtney as babies, me at their graduations, me at Robert's funeral with them on either side holding me up, me in my classroom surrounded by students. The message inside, written in Courtney's handwriting, read, "Mum, we can't change what we did, but we can change who we are going forward. You taught us that people are defined by their actions, not their intentions. We intend to spend the rest of our lives showing you through our actions how much you mean to us. We love you more than words can say. Travis and Courtney." I sat in the empty lounge holding the card and cried for the third time in 4 days. That evening, I called them both. We talked for over an hour, really talked, the way we hadn't in years. They told me about feeling disconnected from me, about being so caught up in their own lives that they'd started taking me for granted. I told them about feeling invisible, about wondering if I'd somehow failed as a mother to make them understand what mattered. "You didn't fail," Travis said. "We did, but if you'll let us, we want to do better." 3 weeks later, they threw me a celebration dinner, just the three of us, at my favourite restaurant downtown, the Italian place where Robert used to take me for anniversaries. They brought the plaque, asked me to tell them everything about the ceremony, wanted to hear every detail I'd kept to myself. Courtney had the photo from Instagram printed and framed. Travis gave a toast that made me cry again, about second chances and learning to see clearly what had always been there. It wasn't perfect. The hurt didn't disappear overnight, but slowly, carefully, we began rebuilding something that had been cracking for longer than any of us had wanted to admit. On Christmas morning, 4 months after the gala, I opened a gift from both of them, a shadow box containing my Teacher of the Year plaque, surrounded by photos from the ceremony that the news photographer had given them permission to print. And in the centre, a small engraved plate that read, "To the best teacher we ever had. We're sorry it took us so long to show up for class. Love always, Travis and Courtney." I hung it in my living room where I could see it every day, not as a reminder of their failure, but as a reminder of their growth, of our growth, because forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to believe that people can be better than their worst moments. And I'd spent 37 years teaching children that very lesson. It was time I practiced it with my own